Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGemz.com. KeishaGemz.com.
Welcome to Just Dropping Gems, proud partner of Rude Rangers Entertainment. We can now be found on Roku and on the Rude Rangers app. Be sure to download the app on your iOS or Android devices. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to Just Dropping Gems podcast. I thank you today for coming on and listening to this special episode where we have Dr. Victoria Shaw. She is a licensed professional counselor and spiritual coach who combines her background and training in psychology and counseling with her intuitive gifts to help clients heal, grow, and realize their personal and spiritual potential. She especially loves working with people who are committed to using their struggles and life experience to fuel their own spiritual awakening. Victoria is the author of 4 self-help books for parents, children, and has been featured in national publications. Dr. Shaw, Victoria, thank you so much. I'm not sure where to call you. That's why I called you Victoria.
Victoria is perfect. And thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. I just found you to be so interesting. The fact that you are a professional counselor and a spiritual coach, and the fact that you actually have an intuitive nature to you too, and how you incorporate the gifts that you have been given into your business.
Thank you. It's been a great journey and a great adventure. In fact, every day showing up to work is a great adventure, and I'm so grateful for that. I have so much fun.
Yeah. So what actually led you on this path of wanting to be a counselor and going into spiritual coaching?
So it came really out of my own sort of intuitive awakening and my own personal journey and my personal development journey. So I'm originally trained as a research psychologist. So way back when, years and years ago, I've always loved psychology and been fascinated by questions like what is consciousness and how do we reason and think and all of those amazing, cool philosophical and psychological questions. And that drove me into becoming a research psychologist. Which I did many years ago. But as I was going along in the field after I got my PhD and was working on my postdoctoral work and research, I realized I loved psychology, but personally I didn't love doing research. And so I took some time off to do some writing and raise a family and all of that good stuff. But that call never sort of went away. And I always felt, even when I was doing the stay-at-home mom thing, which was a wonderful experience, I was just feeling that there was something in my life that I was supposed to be doing and something I was supposed to be, connecting all of this stuff together. And I just didn't know what it was. And about, 15 years ago. Wow, time flies. My family made the move from New York City to Connecticut. So more of a sort of a rural country laid back setting. And I found that as, the busyness in my life started to go down and I had a little bit more space, and New York was a wonderful experience, but I'm a very sensitive soul. So living there was very overwhelming and overstimulating for me.
I can see that.
Yeah. And when I moved back to the suburbs and more into the country, I was really able to sort of get back in touch with myself and my own essential nature. I started to deepen my meditation practice. And I really started to discover that I had these gifts, these intuitive gifts, and that I'd had them my whole life, but I hadn't really been able to use them or been totally aware of what to do with them, and that now I was feeling the call. And so I spent a good chunk of time, doing my own personal development work and really working on tapping in and awakening my intuitive gifts. And then as that started to happen, I felt guided to go back to school and get my master's of counseling so that I could, work with people in more of a counseling capacity as well. So my counseling work has always been guided by my intuition. And even when I'm doing, and I do a lot of different things, but even when I'm doing traditional counseling work, I always lead with my intuitive knowing first, because I think that that's really where the gold is.
Yeah. So you really, and you know how it's so funny that the noise of the city kind of blocks out that certain voice we have to hear. So you actually you went somewhere that was quiet, and
Right.
you were still, and you were able to hear what you were supposed to do, like your life's calling.
Right. And, there's a lot of people out there, myself and probably some of your listeners, who are very empathic people, meaning that we have really wide open hearts and we feel the feelings of people around us. So for empathic people, and that's a form of intuition, and it's one that I have and many, many people have, and often one of the first forms that opens up for people. But for those empathic souls that feel the energy of others and feel the feelings of others, not just like, in your brain where you can imagine what someone's feeling, but empaths feel it like it's happening to them.
Yeah.
And so New York City is a tricky place for an empath, or at least it was for me, because you can really become overwhelmed by the energy of others because there are so many. And I'm so grateful for my experience of living 12 years in New York City. And I love still being in striking distance because it's such a beautiful, it's a beautiful place, and it's just, I think, one of the energetic vortexes of our planet. But for me, getting away, having that alone time and being a little bit more isolated was magical. And it really helped me to sort of tune in and differentiate sort of the noise of what everyone else was thinking and feeling to, what I need to be focusing on right now. And I think this is something, I don't know when this is going to come out, but it's something, we're all experiencing, the COVID stuff right now. I think it's a really good lesson for all of us, no matter where you are, even if you are in the big city, to, practice getting in touch with just your feelings, because otherwise it can be very overwhelming right now because there's a lot of fear energy out there.
Yes, most definitely. I could relate to that. Definitely as I'm an empath as well. And
Right.
even right now in this climate, I actually could feel it.
Yeah.
It's to the point where I am exhausted, so I really am learning how to, at this time, I think this is teaching me how to separate that.
Yeah, it's such a powerful lesson.
Yeah, I'm separating how to separate myself too from taking on even the feelings or what's going on of other people, because I tend to take that on.
Yeah, and I think that, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you are in this, probably more people during this experience and during this times are going to be awakening their intuitive and empathic gifts because the energies are so strong and so high right now. So that means a couple of things. One, if you're just on the verge of opening your beautiful, compassionate heart, then that's a good thing. But for most of us, it can be really overwhelming because most empaths are already highly compassionate souls. And so what we need to learn to do is have those good boundaries and recognize that though you can feel the pains of the planet, you don't have to engage with them. And it's really important to take care of yourself and put your oxygen mask on first, because that's how we can help heal the planet. And I think you made another point too, that, self-care is so important right now, and making sure, I'm getting extra sleep, extra exercise, extra alone time and downtime, because just living in these times, regardless of anything that's happening, in your particular life, and a lot of us are also having a lot of new and interesting stressors right now. It's just important to take care of you and understand that, we're going to need a little bit of extra TLC for ourselves right now.
Exactly. And not to feel bad about it.
Oh yeah. Don't feel bad about it. Never feel bad about it. Taking care of you is the best thing you can do for yourself and for others.
Yeah,
really for others. And you serve as a role model too for others, because most people don't know how to take care of themselves, and we all should be doing it more. From a spiritual perspective, your spirit actually wants you to be happy. That's what we all came here to do. And Earth life, sometimes can distract us from that true essential call. But really, wherever you can find happiness is exactly what you should be doing. And it's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. I so agree with you. So, Victoria, I just wanted to know, what exactly is a spiritual coach? I know you're a licensed professional counselor, but what is a spiritual coach? Can you explain that to the audience, please?
Right. So for me, for spiritual coaching, is where I do a lot of different things. But when I do spiritual coaching, it's really just me tuning into my inner wisdom. And the way I explain it to clients is, what I have the ability to do is I'm able to hear your highest guidance. So I believe your intuition is our connection to spirit, and it's our connection to our higher selves. And so when a client is sitting across from me, I'm able to hear not just my very own guidance, but their guidance as well. And we all have a connection to our intuition, and everybody has spiritual guidance because we are all spiritual beings in physical form. But when you're in the messiness of your own life, sometimes it is harder to hear your guidance. And that is where a spiritual counselor or coach comes in to help direct you back home and connect again with your own inner knowing. So when I'm doing sessions with people and doing spiritual coaching, my role is to connect them back to their intuition, and also to serve as a conduit for their own guidance, to the extent that right now it's hard for them to hear it.
Oh, that's beautiful. It really is. I remember there was I had, when I was going to Fordham at one time, I didn't complete the program because I had gotten ill, but that was actually a major at Fordham.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, where they actually they taught that spiritual coaching. So I'm just bringing this to the audience to let people know
that's beautiful.
Fluff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, not at all. And I'm not a certified coach, so I want to make that clear. My training is all in counseling, and my coaching piece is self-taught, and again through my intuitive guidance. But yes, coaching, it's such a great profession. And I also, even in my own counseling program, I was, I think things are changing so much. I was able to take classes in spirituality and counseling, and I was able to, give presentations on things like the chakra system. Mm-hmm. I took a class where we did shamanic journeying. So I just love the fact now that there's so much more openness in the field to this work. And I hope that's a trend that continues.
Yeah, definitely. And, the fact that they had that there, because that was part of, like I said, my major. So counseling, cool. Psychology was a part of that as well. So they just married the two, which I thought was really nice. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with my audience and let them know that this is actually a major. People could actually go to school and get a degree in this. So it's not just something made up. And I think that's really nice how you actually married the two. You use your background in counseling, and then actually use your gifts that you were given to then put those together and actually help people even on a higher level. So you're really tapping into, helping them to tap into their higher self.
Absolutely. That's the goal. And I think any kind of helping profession, whether you're doing counseling or psychology or social work or coaching or, that covers a lot. When we're doing it right, we're always tapping into our inner wisdom. I think that all healers, when they're getting it right, are really tapping into that deeper well of awareness. And then you let your training, for me at least, it's secondary. I use it for sure. And I'm always checking in with myself and making sure I'm operating, especially if I'm in a counseling situation, within, professional boundaries. But I always lead with my intuition, because I really believe that is, where the most impactful and powerful healing comes from, is from that inner knowing that we have. And also empowering my clients, because, and this is what, counseling, the field of counseling believes, and why I chose counseling as the mode to get my licensure, is we all have an inner healer within us. And so, when you are going for any kind of help, counseling, doctor, like anything, ideally what you understand is that you're awakening your own inner healer and your own inner wisdom. And the doctor or the teacher or the spiritual guide or the counselor is the person that's helping connect you back with your own inner resources.
Yes, that's why they say when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. So,
always.
Yeah, so you actually attract that to you if people are unaware of that. Yeah, yes. That is beautiful. So I see that you have books that you have written, self-help books for parents, children. Can you tell us a
Yes, ma'am.
little about your the books that you have currently published?
Yeah, so the books I have out, they've been out a while now. So I've written a couple books for preteens. One was on friendship, one was on puberty. I wrote a book years ago for teens on sexual harassment, and an exercise book for new moms. And currently in the works is a book of sleep strategies for kids and their parents. So that one should be coming out probably in the next year. It's been written for a while, but just finally getting it in the pipeline with the right illustrator. And it's a bunch of tools and strategies. A lot of families of young kids and also older kids struggle with sleep. It's a big issue. And so these are sort of hands-on craft activities and visualizations and ways that kids can, again, harness their own inner healer to learn to have a smoother, more harmonious experience at bedtime.
Oh, that is really nice.
Yeah.
I know, like, a lot of times, I know even when dealing with young children, for some
Yes.
reason, they could be so tired, but they don't want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say too that a lot of times too, what'll happen is, once you get in that habit of not having smooth and harmonious bedtimes, everyone starts to get anxious at bedtime because the parents are sort of like, I'm done and I want my child to go to sleep. And the child is sort of like, my mom and daddy always get annoyed with me around bedtime. And so what the book is trying to do is sort of shift those patterns and make bedtime more harmonious and fun, because it really is, it can be really tricky for kids, and it can be tricky in our busy world too for parents and their children to sort of, down level the nervous system and get ready for sleep, because oftentimes now children are so overprogrammed and families are so busy that transition is not as smooth as maybe it once was.
Yeah, I love that you have. I never even thought to have a book. I don't have children, but
Okay.
even having a book like that for new parents or new moms, even when their children are not, I would even say toddler, it's really important that they learn
Absolutely
how to do that, and how to make that time a pleasant time, and eventually the child will just go to bed themselves.
Yes, that is the goal.
Yeah, because I'm even thinking about in this world we live in, we have children who are empaths, so they too are taking all the energy. And
yes.
And as a parent, we might not realize it, because I'm even speaking from personal experience. That's why I'm bringing this up. Yeah. So your parents might not realize you're an empath, and they just might look at you as being annoying or whatever. And now that as an adult, I see that why I was the way I was, because I was picking up on everything. Yeah. So it's very important that you learn that.
And a big percentage of the children and adults, but I see children, teens, and adults both in my coaching and in my counseling practice. And a big percentage of them are empaths, and working on, how to have those energetic boundaries, how to understand their empathy, and how to learn, because the first thing that really empathic kids will believe is that if I can feel it, I'm supposed to do something about it. And that's not how it works, in fact, right? We're not always obligated to help everybody who's suffering in the world. That could be very overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And so one of the first things that I teach, especially my children empaths, but some of my adults as well, is just because you feel it doesn't mean it's your job to do anything about it. You can have a compassionate heart for other people, but you don't need to get swept up in their pain. And, a lot of children too feel that empathic connection with their parents. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes they'll have the experience where they're feeling what their parents are feeling, but their parents aren't in touch with what they're feeling. And so that can be a really uncomfortable situation where the child is like, knows something's wrong, and the parent's like, I'm fine. And maybe even is like dismissive or annoyed with the child who's picking up on things that maybe they don't really, it's in their mental emotional space, but they're suppressing it. They don't want to be aware of it. And having their children reflect it back to them is not really a fun time. So again, I work with a lot of those kids and a lot of those families, so the kids aren't misunderstood, and the kids can learn that these are beautiful gifts, and how do we work with them?
Oh wow, that's such a blessing. If anyone comes in contact with Dr. Victoria Shaw, especially as a counselor, I that is a beautiful thing.
Thank
Sometimes
you.
it's hard to find counselors who are sensitive to those things or specialize in that. So
Right.
definitely, if you're in the Connecticut, you live in Connecticut, correct?
Yeah, my license, I'm licensed in the state of Connecticut, but I also do phone sessions with especially parents all over the globe, because sometimes too that, if you have a highly sensitive or highly empathic or intuitive child, sometimes it can be really helpful to have that parenting support about how to deal with it and how, not them, how to deal with their gifts and how to support your child. So, and in fact, when I first started working, the bulk of my practice was doing intuitive parent consultations, even before I got my counseling license, because it's my feeling that when we can support parents, you're paying it forward so much. I mean, I'm helping the parent, I'm helping the child, and I'm helping all the way down the family line and everyone that child comes in contact with. So it's some of my favorite work to do. And also personally, a big part of my own journey and what really got me started on my own personal self-development work was I didn't love the kind of parent I was. I was a really stressed out parent, and I didn't feel like I was doing my very best job. And so I did a lot of my work on my own to become a better parent and a better person. And I mean, yeah. And doing a lot of my own sort of personal development work was, that's where my intuition came from. That's where a lot of my self-growth and development came from. But a lot of the initial motivation for me was to be a good mom. So I love working with other parents, male and female, that also, see that parenting relationship as a chance for self-growth and self-development.
Oh, that's nice. I like the fact that you took your own personal experience and now put it into your profession to help others. It's like really walking into your purpose as well.
Yeah, I think that's often how life works.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you listen.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You need to listen, and many of us are not in the habit of listening to our very own lives. That is a very good point.
Yeah, definitely listen. And I'm speaking out of everything I'm saying is out of my own personal experience, I should say. When I didn't listen, that is when I became very unhappy.
Right.
My own personal story as I was a special ed teacher. So that in itself, I know what it is to be around a lot of children who are empaths. Because I feel as though, especially children who they label as special ed, they're highly intuitive.
Often.
They are so empathic. Like I would say emotional. Their emotional intelligence is off the charts compared to a child who's not. This is my opinion.
Oftentimes.
From what I observed and I've seen. So definitely being in that space and being around all those different energies for me became overwhelming. And
I bet.
And not realizing when it was time for me to move on to something else and staying past that time. Life showed me definitely
Right.
I needed to move into another direction. As with you I see you're a stressed out mom. So you use that and you were aware and you moved it into that energy into something
In life.
Other people.
Yes. And I love what you said too about, and sometimes we blame ourselves and we think like, I stayed too long but again, sometimes you need that feedback and you need that experience to finally get the message, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of how life works. So when we're experiencing struggles or we're experiencing emotional issues, or you're experiencing, things aren't going the way you want, it's really important to, use that as an impetus for growth and use that as a time for self-reflection, and, know that eventually you will get the memo. And once you do get the memo, then you can look and go, oh, okay, now I know that was happening, and move on. It's because that's how life works. And of course, if we're more in tune, sometimes we get the memo a little bit sooner and we save ourselves a little bit of discomfort. But, the discomfort too is a gift, because if you hadn't had that discomfort, you wouldn't have gotten to that critical point where you're like, oh yeah, now I got to move on. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a good thing. I agree with you. So, Victoria, can you tell us a little about your podcast that
Oh yeah.
that's coming, or I should say, by the time this airs, it would be up already.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about it.
So I'll tell you the story about it first because it dovetails really nicely in what we are talking about and about listening to life. Because one of the things that drew me into psychology and one of the things that I've wanted to do my entire life is write. And, I have written books, but it's been a while. And I really, thought, I have so much to say and I want to start writing again. And I have this children's book but I really wanted to, start writing more of a book about the intuition and the journey that I've been on. And I really was feeling, well, now is the time to do it. And as I sat down to write, nothing was happening. And I am someone who, loves to write so much. I would say I could write anything. I could write the advertising in the back of a matchbook and I would be happy. Usually it's my happy place, but nothing was coming. But what was coming, interestingly enough, was I was finding that I was really enjoying sort of talking to myself and recording things verbally. And I was going for these long walks and recording these things on my phone, and really cool stuff was coming through, and it was stuff that was really interesting to me and it felt like might be really important to share. So I started thinking, I guess, this is how the book is going to go. I'm going to dictate it and then I'm going to write it down. And I wasn't getting the memo yet. And so I'm trying to do that and it's still not working, and it's like pulling teeth. And then all of a sudden I was like, light bulb, I'm supposed to be speaking right now. And it's coming through my voice because that's how my guidance would like for me to share. And so the podcast was born. So I've been working on this since the fall when I finally did sort of wake up and go, oh yeah. And I'm really excited. So the title is Intuitive Connection, and it's basically all about awakening your intuition, connecting to your inner guidance, and also, I think more importantly, about that deeper process of life and how do we live a spiritually informed life, and how do we get into greater alignment with our higher selves, and how do we use all the struggles and all of our experiences in life to have that deeper, more meaningful spiritual experience while we're in our little human bodies. And so that's this kind of stuff we'll be talking about. And I'm so excited. It's so much fun.
It sounds really interesting, especially those of us who are in touch with our life's path, in touch with what God or the universe is trying to tell us, whatever your belief system is.
Right.
So this is a really good program. And I know you're going to be talking about the chakra systems and all of that. So
all of that good stuff, and boundaries and spirit guides and reincarnation, but also just everyday stuff too. How do you deal with the energy of fear? That's a big one for us right now. And how do you learn to trust your inner wisdom? So I'm really excited. So excited. I also have a lot of great guests lined up, and that's been really fun too, because I love talking to people and sharing what other people are doing and how other people are using their intuition in their work. And I think it's just really inspirational for people who, wherever you are on the journey of tapping into your own inner wisdom, to hear what other people are doing and all the great resources out there.
Yes, I love that. That's really nice. I'm really looking forward to listening to some episodes of your show. Most definitely. Yes, definitely. Do you know what platforms you'll be on?
I think that we're going to be on basically all of the platforms. It's right now you can definitely find the link on my website, but I think it's pretty much across platforms. So iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher one. I'm still new to that. I have a wonderful support team that's setting this up for me. So I'm just doing the content, but I think we're going to be across all the platforms.
Yeah. So definitely you'll probably be on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify. Those are the top ones. So
yeah,
definitely. Yes. I'm sure they should. I'm sure they'll hook you up with that.
Right. But, and I also, we'll have a page on my website. So hopefully that'll be in the show notes. If people want to start there, that'll be the greatest place to connect. And but yeah, please look out for it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, definitely. If you are listening to this on YouTube, or even watching this on YouTube or any of the platform, because I'm on most major podcast platforms, you definitely check out the show notes. All of Victoria's information will be there, her website, link to her website, and also the handles to her social media will be there as well.
Yay, thank
So
you.
definitely check that out. And last but not least, let's talk a little bit about your online course you have, Activating Your Intuition. What is that about?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that is, it is a course putting together about 10 years of my work teaching people how to tap into their own inner wisdom. So it is a totally self-paced online class. There's about 6 video module lessons about different topics about how to tap into your intuition, how to tell the difference between intuition and thought and fear, how to connect with your spiritual guidance, your spirit guides, where intuition comes from, what it looks like. So all of those really good topics to help students really learn how to awaken and activate their own inner wisdom. And then there are meditations and homework exercises. So you can do it at your own pace. It's over 5 modules with, I think it's 6 videos. And I'm really excited about it because it really ties together, 10 years of work that I've been doing mostly, in live workshops here in Connecticut. And now anyone, anywhere can have it on their very own time schedule. So
yes. And this is nice, especially for this time that we're in right now. Definitely
Yes.
more things are going to be done virtually. So.
Right. And it's good for these times too, because I think, when we have these crazy times, and this is unprecedented for many of us in our lifetimes, have never experienced anything quite like this before. And it's, again, so easy to get caught up in your fear. Having that connection to your inner wisdom is the best guide. It's the best guide through everything, through every life challenge. And so, courses like this that can help you connect with that inner wisdom are going to become so much more vital now, because it's going to help you discern from that voice of fear from your own inner wisdom and guidance. And it's that inner wisdom and guidance that will help you get through these difficult times and figure out where the gold is in it for you. Because there's always a silver lining. And as difficult as things look right now, and they are, like for many of us, there's going to be beautiful silver linings in this. And, your intuition can help you discover those and also get through the parts that don't feel so grand.
Yes, I must agree with you. And everything that we look at as being negative or just being what we will say bad, even though that's subjective, there's
Right.
always something beautiful that comes out of it.
Yep. Life is always happening for you, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Exactly. Something you have to look for the good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Exactly. Right.
Definitely. So, Dr. Shaw, Victoria, I would thank you so much for coming on today. And I have to let the audience know once again, all of Victoria's information is in the show notes if you're listening to this on any podcast platforms. And it's also in the description box below if you are watching or listening to this on YouTube. So, Victoria, I always ask my guests this: do you have any lasting words or final words that you want to leave with the audience?
Yeah, just that, intuition is the greatest gift that your soul has given you on your journey here on earth. And so own it, love it, cherish it, and use it. And, I think you will be very happy with the results.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yes. Thank you. And I just must say I loved your energy. So thank you for coming on.
Oh, likewise. Thank you.
Yes. And thank you everyone for listening to Just Dropping Gemz podcast. Peace, health, and holistic health. Love you. Thank you. Have a blessed one. This episode is sponsored by Dropping Gemz Publishing and Dropping Gemz Academy. Be sure to visit our website, www.droppinggemsacademy.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at droppinggemz.com. To become a sponsor or advertise on this show, you can contact us at KeishaChristian.com or email us at info@KeishaChristian.com. Holistic health and much abundance to you.